Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Shri Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the Song of the Divine. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We'll be continuing from chapter 2, that is Sankhyayoga, the Yoga of Knowledge, from verse 46 onwards, which is under the part of Karma Yoga, the Yoga of selfless action, as described by Lord Shri Krishna. So let us begin. So verse 46 onwards. In the last verse, before I start, Lord Shri Krishna had mentioned how we need to have equanimity of mind and also not bother about, running after creating wealth or anything that you aspire for, which is your desires, and then you have to become unconcerned in trying to preserve what you have attained. So that's what he was talking about. Plus, he also said all of this can be achieved when you have your own self-control. So here it also means that you have to be having oneness with the divine, which means you have to understand the truth or not get lost by what you see in the material world, which is attachment to your senses and the sense objects. So let us continue. Verse 46, chapter 2. A Brahmana who has obtained enlightenment has as much use for all the Vedas as one who stands at the brink of a sheet of water overflowing on all sides has for a small reservoir of water. Very beautifully said. He says, a Brahmana who has obtained enlightenment has as much use for all the Vedas as one who stands at the brink of a sheet of water overflowing on all sides has for a small reservoir of water. What does it mean? He's saying once you have attained enlightenment, then you don't need any Vedas or Shastras. Why are the Vedas there? So that you can reach God realization. You can understand the truth about who you truly are. That is why all these scriptures are there. So that you can realize yourself and serve your purpose, especially by following the path of Dharma and doing your Swadharma, which is why you have born as this human body. Okay, so that is the real reason. But he's also saying once you have attained that, then there is no use for the Vedas. Vedas or that knowledge which is required is so that you can reach that particular destination. After that, you have to chuck that. There is no use for knowledge once you have reached your destination and you have attained the goal. So what use is it? So he's giving an example how a man who stands at the brink of a sheet of water overflowing on all sides has for a small reservoir of water. When the water is overflowing on all sides, do you think he's going to bother about a small reservoir of water? No, not at all. Similarly, for a Brahmana, that is the knowers of the Brahma, the knowers of the Brahman, the knowers of the truth. So who has already attained this state of enlightenment, for him the Vedas there are no use to the Vedas, because that Vedas is himself. He understands the truth now. So that is what the Lord is saying. So what is he saying now? He's saying your right is to work only and never to the fruit thereof. This is very important. Do not consider yourself to be the cause of the fruit of action, nor let your attachment be to inaction. Wow, that's very profound. What is the Lord saying here to Arjuna? He's saying your right is to work only and never to the fruit thereof. See, this is a very tough lesson to understand. Why? Because we always believe in the end result. No matter what action we perform, we always think about the end result. The end goal is very relevant. So if you're planning that, okay, I need to get a job, which means my end goal is I need to make so much of money. And that is what it is. It's driven by a target. It is driven by a goal. That is an end result. So it's a motivated action. So where are you just doing your job? What is he saying? Your right is to work only. So your job is to just bother about whatever the job comes to you naturally. You don't have to exert to get that job or exert to do something. And when you focus like this, then what happens? Then he's also saying another very important thing. He's saying, and never to the fruit thereof. So what is the outcome going to be is not your concern. You cannot be attached to the fruit. You can either succeed or you can fail. That end result is never in your hands. So what makes you think that if I have to fight the war, that means my relative should not die. I know my kith and kin should not die. So do you think in a war that's going to happen? No, it's a war. So the war is about, there is a culmination of action, but that is not your concern. What is the outcome going to be is none of your concern at all. Your right is to work alone. Likewise, he's telling Arjuna, your right is to fight the war. What is the outcome, the end result is never in your hands. That's what Lord is saying. So why are we bothered about what happens? Oh, if I do this, something might go wrong. If I don't do this, then there's something else going to happen. We're always in this yo-yo state. And we don't want to work because we're always afraid about the end result. Sometimes you're so confident, okay, I am going to win. And we are still thinking about winning. The end result is what is the focus we have in our mind. But we are not bothered about just doing our job. That is where we lose out. So it is important for you to practice the art where you're just doing your job, because that is part of your karma. This is called the karma yoga. As a body, you're born with certain set of duties, and doing the duty is your right alone. And don't bother of what is the outcome going to be. You might want to say that, okay, I don't want to do this work, I am fed up, I'm not going to do. You can deny everything. But please remember, destiny is already predefined. How much ever you kind of tell, you kind of keep saying, I don't want to do, I don't want to do, I don't want to do. So even when you continue to do that, you're still driven by the destiny, which is going to still make you do the same action, whether you like it or not. So why not just do it without incurring karma? That is what he's saying. Doing your duty is your right. But don't bother about the end result. This is something a human being should understand. And when you understand this, then you become free. You're not focused with what is going to be the end result, the outcome. Whether you're going to win, you're going to fail, you're going to, be successful, you're going to make $1 billion or not, nothing is in your hands. And today, what is the end result? In the social media world, everybody's driven by how many likes you have, how many followers do you have. So everybody's very concerned with that. Is that what it is? So they are going to do that action so that they can get, I need 1 million followers, I need, 100,000 likes, whatever that is. So everybody's driven in that way. But is that what we're looking at? My Guruji will say something very beautiful. He'll say, nobody reads even what I write. I get hardly 1 or 2 likes. Similarly, I will say to him, the word I use, Kutta bhi mera koi article like nahi karta hai, which means nobody is interested in liking my article. But is that why I'm writing? Just because somebody has to like? Not at all. I'm writing because I want to share the learning which I have received. But if I bother about the end goal, somebody is reading it, somebody is not reading it, somebody is liking it, somebody is commenting, then I'm driven by the end result. Then I'm not doing my job. The job is, the duty is, I have to just write my article. Somebody reads it, somebody doesn't read it, it doesn't matter. We should never be driven by the end result. That is, we should not get attached to the fruits of our action. So let us continue. Let's see what the Lord says. Do not consider yourself to be the cause of the fruit of action. What does it mean? I am not responsible for the fruit of action, the cause. We say, because of me this has happened. I have made this to happen. I was the one who created this. I am the one who's responsible for winning the success. My Guruji will say something very beautiful. If you want to always take responsibility for something that good is happening in your world. But at the same time, if something goes wrong, then you'll blame God. Similarly here, the Lord is saying, do not consider yourself to be the cause of the fruit of action. See, your right is to work alone. Why are you thinking you're the cause of the fruit of the action? You are not. Please remember. You're just doing your part, which is called the karma. You're performing that action. And that is all is your duty. And you're neither the cause, and don't even bother about the end result. It is never in your hands. So what makes you think you're responsible for something to happen? So my Guruji will say, I didn't know that people are greater than God. That is how we sound. We think we are responsible for something to happen. We think we are responsible for the sun to rise, the moon to, beautifully glow, the stars to shine, the wind, the wind to give us a good breeze. We are responsible. I didn't know that. So that is what the Lord is saying. Why do you think, oh Arjuna, you're an ignorant being at this moment in time? Here the Lord is imparting this knowledge. And you know what? It's a funny thing. The mind is a very funny thing. It has a very unique way to interpret things. Why, do you understand why it is so difficult to understand some of these truths? That is because our mind has, first of all, selective hearing. We don't listen, we just hear. And it only latches on to some of the words. And that words, it can conveniently interpret the way it wants to. And this is a huge issue. The reason why we do not focus or we are not successful in things we need to do is simply because we have a selective hearing. Our mind wants to only hear that which is conducive to it, which is again driven by what? Pairs of opposites. I like something, I dislike something. So if I like something, I'm going to pay attention. I want to hear more, but I am still not listening. Listening is an art. Many a time when my Guruji has taught me, my mind has interpreted in its own way, and I have assumed things. And I would wonder, is this what my Guruji is saying? And I would just jump into conclusion. Then I go back to him and said, what, this is what you said. I don't know what that means. And then he tried to explain to me, and I've realized, because my mind has interpreted in its own way, it was very difficult to understand the teachings itself. So the problem is very fundamental. Till we do not completely surrender and not think in our mind and first absorb what is being taught, you cannot understand the truth. The knowledge can never get to you. The knowledge cannot reveal itself to you because you're still interpreting using your mind. So here, despite Lord Shri Krishna teaching Arjuna in so many different ways that Arjuna, please get up, rise and just fight, just do it. Your job is to lift your bow and arrow and shoot. Just do your swadharma. Serve your purpose of your existence in this world. Do as following the righteous path. Just fight the war. That is exactly what Lord Shri Krishna is saying. But why is Arjuna not able to understand is because of his mind. See, remember that very, very important lesson in your life. Because we are lost in our mind due to emotions and agitations, frustrations, so many different things. And our mind is, it's like a mine. It's a big mine. And what happens in that? It's talking too much. It's talking dime a dozen nonsense. It's telling you things that which is not going to lead you to your growth on the path of spirituality. On the contrary, it is telling you everything that is going to pull you down. So never listen to your mind. First listen to the words of this great divine being. The knowledge which you are getting. Understand what is being taught to you. Interpret it in the way you have to understand. Only then that you can imbibe that lessons. And then once you imbibe, then you cogitate, you meditate, you internalize. And then only when the knowledge is firmed within you, then you will be able to apply this knowledge. Otherwise, that knowledge has no value. Why? Because your mind will conveniently make that knowledge forget, you will forget that. It will not even remind you about that knowledge. See, knowledge is a very powerful thing, especially the truth which has been imparted by Lord Shri Krishna. It's a very, very powerful thing. Many a time, I will ask my Guruji, why is that every single time I open any scripture, it feels it is new, that I'm learning that verse for the first time. Why does this happen? So my Guruji was telling me, what did he say? He said, that is because your mind does not listen to everything. Listening to, forget it. First, it doesn't hear everything that is being taught. It has selective hearings, like I said. It is only going to hear things that is very conducive to it. That which it is acceptable and palatable. So you'll only want to hear that goody part, or something that you think is that you understand. And that is why every single time you open, you get that same verse, you feel it's new, and then you're learning something different. This is what happens to us. So become conducive to this knowledge that you are getting. So learn what the Lord is teaching here. So do not consider yourself to be the cause of the fruit of action. And please never think that you are that one because of whom this whole war is being, the war is being fought. And then forget about the war is being fought. The fruit of action, that the war we are going to lose or win and people are going to die, that you are responsible for that action. Fruit of that action itself. So please do not associate with you being that. So what is that we have understood here? Doing your duty or work is your right alone, and do not bother about the end results, and never think that you are the cause of the fruit of that action. Next, what is he saying? Nor let your attachment be to inaction. Oh my God, this is even more powerful. Let your attachment never be to inaction. Okay, let your attachment be to, not let your attachment be to inaction. What does that mean? Inaction. Oh, I am the one who's responsible for either the action or inaction. You can't get attached to anything. See, simply put in simple words, you can't get attached to any of these things in your life. So what is the one teaching which the Lord is imparting here? Please, Arjuna, fight. That is all. Isn't that very simple? Just do your duty. That which is coming to you naturally. Why are you bothered? Whether I'm going to win, somebody is going to die. Why are you thinking all of this? See, even example I'll give you. While we're going to give our examination, we are very bothered. Oh, how much marks I will get? I don't know. Oh, I need to apply for MIT, Harvard. We have so many dreams. We are more bothered about what is the score that I need to make? How much marks I have to get in my mathematics, science, whatever different subjects. So we are always driven by that end result. No, just focus on studying very well and writing your exam to the best of your ability. That is all it should be your part. Why are you thinking of, okay, how much score am I going to get? You're already predefining yourself, like the end result. Oh, this is all I have to get. This is how it has to be. Do you think that is what is going to happen? No, that's not the way. Or even example, take someone who is going for a job interview. See, your duty is to give the best interview possible. But don't expect that. Don't think that you're going to get that job. That is not right. It has happened to me, let me tell you, many a time. I've given some of the best interviews, and then I know for sure, oh yes, I will be selected for this job. And then what has happened, I will receive a call saying, sorry, it's not because you didn't meet the requirements, but we had some other reasons because of which we are not going to be shortlisting you. And I would feel completely disappointed. I would feel so let down. I'm like, what is this? I know I was going to get the job. So which means I had already assumed that's the end result, right? I had already thought about the end result, what is going to be, which means I got attached to that fruit of action, which is not the case it should be. Then when I didn't get it, I was completely disappointed. So what is Lord Sri Krishna saying? Never bother about what is the outcome. Your job is to do your job alone. Your right is to work alone. Which means my right was to give the best interview possible, but not thinking that I am going to get that job. That is where I failed. And not, again, considering myself responsible or the cause of that fruit of that action. Which means, oh, look, because maybe I did something wrong, and then blaming myself, thinking that because of me that event has happened, such an outcome has happened. That is what I end up thinking. So we are not even going to be that, nor let your attachment be to inaction. And inaction, why are you getting attached to that inaction as well? You can't, whether it is action or inaction, you can't be attached to either. Just do what comes to you naturally. It's very easy. My Guruji had written a very beautiful update. And he said, even today, nobody understands this simple lesson. So then someone had asked him, then how do you understand? He says, this is so simple. It's just, the answer is right in front of your nose, but we don't see it, which means You don't exert to do a task. What comes to you naturally is your duty to perform that action. Just do it. Why are you thinking you have to go find something else? And that is what a human being doesn't understand. I hope this verse is very clear to you. Let us continue with the next verse, verse 48. Arjuna, perform your duties established in yoga, renouncing attachment, and be even-minded in success and failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. That is very, very, very beautiful. What is he saying here? Arjuna, perform your duties established in yoga. Yoga, okay, it's a very beautiful word. But in today's day and age, the moment you say yoga, they think it means body concoctions or, body distortions, contortions, whatever you want to call it. It's quite funny. So, see, yoga means union with the Lord, union with the divine. That is what yoga means. But what is it we understand? It's about, we think about doing physical exercise, physical activities is what yoga means. No, that yoga is only to just keep your, body in good condition, in good health. The fitness aspect, that is not yoga. It's just a term, but the real meaning of yoga is union with the divine. So what is he saying? Perform your duties established in yoga, renouncing attachment and be even-mindedness in success and failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. That is yoga. So where do you find union, that oneness? When neither success nor failure disturbs you. That is where you will find that evenness. And that is where you can get established in yoga with the divine Lord. But the moment you get disturbed, then you are never in that oneness. And please remember, this is not an easy state to attain. Why? Because we are constantly, swaying between the right, wrong, good, bad, happy, sad. Our mind get tainted by what we hear, what we see, everything around us. And most important, the tainting of the mind happens because the mind talks too much. It tries to interpret a lot of things. It tries to show you imaginations. It creates a lot of images in your mind. So you're constantly judging, you're constantly interpreting, you're constantly, you're thinking. And this thinking is the root cause of your downfall. So stop thinking and don't be in that state. The moment you keep thinking, then what happens? Please remember, then you are going to be a miserable person. Your thoughts are always, leading you to some state. And some days you'll be in the high. Someday you're going to feel low. And who is the cause of all this? Because you are swaying between the pairs of opposites. Your mind is constantly in that yo-yo state. So you need to get out of that. How do you get out of that? When you develop the aspect called yoga. Arjuna, perform your duties established in yoga. Evenness of mind is yoga. So how do you practice evenness of mind? It's not an easy thing, but you have to constantly practice. But someday you will be able to achieve this, let me tell you. When you understand whatever a person is saying, that it is a creation of the person's mind, then you are not going to react. But the moment you react to that, whatever the person is speaking, right and wrong, and then you have already disturbed that oneness, that yoga you have disturbed. Similarly, see, when somebody is telling something, we listen, we hear, we interpret. So who is constantly interpreting? The mind. And the mind is trying to tell you something. Look, this person is talking. But do you really know what that other person is meaning? And see, one way to avoid this yo-yos is in the way where you should first understand what is the other person speaking. And if you do not understand, then you are going to be in trouble because you've already, interpreted something. Oh, that person is saying something good, that person is saying something bad. But why are you considering it good or bad? That is the first thing you shouldn't do. So that is where the equanimity of mind needs to be there. And to have the equanimity of mind, you need to first understand the truth. The truth is, everybody is talking through their mind. I'll tell you one beautiful lesson. I've been able to apply this in one aspect, and that is about the praise and somebody, calling me names. So, when I understood that many a time in the world, people just praise you. That's just being polite, and they try to say nice things. But they might not be meaning that at all. And I have experienced this. Does it mean that I get elated by what they said? Oh, somebody's praising me, And one thing my Guruji has always taught, do not trust a sweet talker. Because that sweet talker is only talking to your mind. That's just a false praise. Because we human beings love to hear everything nice about ourselves. And similarly, when somebody says something bad about you, or saying, oh, this person is like this person is this, we get very hurt, we feel terrible, we feel, oh, how dare that person speak to us like that. And then you become emotional, you're trying to feel miserable, all that happens. Why? Because you have, given into that thing about slander, somebody saying bad about me. But who's this somebody? That's somebody is again talking through their mind. So why are you letting that affect you? Like my Guruji was teaching me something very profound this morning. And he said to me, listen, why are you upset about that? If somebody is calling me names, why should it matter to you? I said, it does affect me because you're my Guru, you're the greatest one that is there. And I don't like it. So again, see, I don't like it. This I don't like came in. Why should it matter to you? If somebody is saying good thing about me, somebody is saying bad thing about, I'm only not bothered. Does anybody have to convince who I am? Do I need somebody's validation that this is who I am? No, I am who I am, which means he's a divine being. My Krishna Guruji is the master of this universe. He is Lord Shri Krishna himself. Does he need a proof of the pudding that he is Lord Shri Krishna, or somebody has to validate him? No, not at all. So why should it affect me is the question he asked. Why are you thinking that just because somebody is telling something about me that should matter to you? And that was a beautiful answer. But for me to get convinced is where I need to work. Because I feel, no, how can somebody still say bad? What is bad and good? It is only their mind. Somebody's mind is saying something good or bad. It is their mind's concoction. So why are we getting into somebody's mind space? See, this is a very beautiful, beautiful verse. But till you don't understand what it really means and how you can take this lesson in your own life and become a very strong human being, a very good human being, and learn to control your mind through this knowledge which Lord Shri Krishna is imparting, then you will sail through this whole world in a very beautiful manner. Then nothing will affect you. Then you will see this world as a very beautiful existence. That is what you will experience. But that is why he says, then you will be able to perform your duties established in that yoga. That is what he's saying. And renouncing attachment and be even-minded in success and failure. Evenness of mind is called yoga. So then you've renounced the attachment. In whether it is success or failure, whether somebody is praising you or somebody is calling you names, it doesn't matter at all. You've already renounced that attachment to that. When we say, I don't like this, this like and dislike, that don't like is also a very big attachment. Because the part called hate is even more stronger than that attachment called good. Likewise, in the ego also, the inflated ego is not as strong as the deflated ego. The person who thinks, oh, I am the miserable one, I am like this, I am bad, that deflated ego is a terrible one. That's the biggest ego. At least your inflated ego can be overcome. Who can feel, oh, I am the greatest? That can be overcome. But somebody who feels, oh, I am the lowliest, I don't know, I am like this. The moment you criticize yourself and call yourself names, you've actually stooped down and gone into the gutters. And that is the deflated ego. The deflated ego can take you down the ruins like this. Without, with a fraction of a second, you're already gone into that state, and coming out of that state is very difficult. Today, I talk to a lot of people, and today they all suffer this state of weakness where they feel completely low and out. They are living in their deflated ego. I don't know what to do. I am the weak person. I am fearful. I cannot fight. I cannot at this time do this. I cannot. And then they're living in that hatred. Oh, I don't like this. This person said this to me. This person did that to me. I am a failure. Why are you giving yourself the negatives? Can you not rise? My Guruji said, if you think you failed, or if you think you can't do it, who says you can't do it? The God's capabilities, the potentials rest within you. So what makes you think you can't do? Who's giving the negatives to yourself? It's your mind. And that is the reason why we cannot rise above. So what is the Lord saying? This attachment to the pairs of opposites, success or failure, whether I'm going to succeed or fail, it doesn't matter. Even if you succeed, okay, fair. Move on, what is next? My Krishna Guruji will say something very beautiful. If I go tell him I'm very happy and excited, I've done something, I've achieved something, it could be a small thing. So when I go tell my Guruji, he'll say, okay. His answer is always okay. It's a good is very rare thing, and it's always okay. Okay means you just need to understand, okay, that's fine. My Guruji will never praise. Because the moment you get that praise, you will stop performing. You will, you'll become stagnant right there. And you'll think that you've achieved some great feat in life. No. So he'll say, it's okay is an answer, which means, yeah, I can do much better. Okay, I've done this, so move on. What is next? Can you do something better? That is what that okay means. But can you understand it this way? No. See, can you, if you go in the world and say it's okay, oh, that, how the world will interpret that okay, oh, he's not happy with my performance. He thought that I'm just an average person. But who said all that? It is your own mind. Isn't that one okay? Your mind is interpreting in so many different ways. Did the person who gave you that okay, did he even mean that? No, not at all. And this is what is a problem, because it's our mind talk, which is full of crap. It's full of that, it's like a pig living in that mire, and it's rolling in that muck. It's enjoying itself in that completely. And it's giving you all that nonsensical thing and you're eating it. And then you think that, oh, that is what the other person said. See, this is a classic situation. This is a classic case in everybody's life. And that is why I'm emphasizing. You need to get out of that mind state. And don't bother about it. And then what should you do? Oh, yes, you've done. So what is the next thing you're going to do? And now rise above and do something better. That should be your focus and that should be your goal. So when we get trained under my Guruji, his teachings, his way of teaching, the methods are very, very unique. He's not going to put you in a habit about these praises. Even in the kitchen, when you make some good food, you always, okay, good according to you, okay, because you have cooked and you think you have done a great job. So you offer it to my Guruji and you're expecting a praise. We'll ask, Guruji, how is the food? What's the answer you'll get? Okay. That doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just okay. And an okay is a very powerful thing. What does it mean? Oh yeah, you should continue doing more. You should do more, better. That's what he means. But what is your mind? Look at him. That means he didn't like it. Who's interpreted that? Did my Guruji even say he didn't like it? He just said okay. But the mind interpreted, look, that means he didn't like it. Oh, next time I'm not going to make it. Oh my God, who spoke so much? It's your mind which is creating this nonsense. And that is the reason why you can never be, in yoga. When your mind keeps doing this to you, you can never have this evenness of mind. And that is called yoga. That yoga can never be there. Why? Because our mind is talking too much. So, my Guruji will always say, the answer is yes, no, and okay. This is the three answers he'll give. And you have to only stick to that. Don't go more. And what he teaches me, he tells you need to be silent. The less you talk, the better it is for you. Sometimes we speak too much and put our own foot in our mouth. And then we have to eat those words. And that's a tough thing. Why? Because one is, we don't know what the other person is thinking or not thinking. And we end up saying something, then the other person is misconstruing it in some other way. So what is the best thing to do? Just do your job in silence, having equanimity of mind and being in the state of yoga, which is, you're not bothered about success, failure, nothing. All you're focusing and channeling your energy into doing the job so perfectly well. And that is why a yogi, the one or the enlightened being, they are able to give the best output possible. Every job, they will do it in that perfection. Like my Krishna Guruji, he's so focused. To even match him is next to impossible by any human being. He's beyond the scale of a human being. Why? Because he's the divine being. He knows his capabilities and his knowledge is perfect. He's not judging anybody. He's not, he's not swaying between, oh, he won something or he lost. He's not even bothered about the end result. He's not thinking anything. On the contrary, his goal is to ensure that he continues to teach us the right knowledge. How do you actually live? How do you overcome this mind? How do you attain the state of yoga? That is what my Guruji teaches. See, these words are not of my wisdom. I always say these words are of my Guruji's wisdom. He is the Lord. He's just using this tool. This body is a tool, a vehicle, to teach. The words are just flowing from my mouth. If I say I have this knowledge, then it's my ego talking. I don't have any knowledge. This is the most esoteric knowledge. I'm in fact learning myself a lot through the satsangs. It's a beautiful journey to be part of this satsangs along with you. So let us focus on being in yoga. I hope you understood. I'm emphasizing this many a time because today our mind is not sthir. It is always, dwelling in subjects and objects, which is pulling us down, which is not helping us to perform to our highest of the abilities. So I'm emphasizing on this lesson. And also, when you practice this lesson, you will also ensure there is a mental well-being. If you keep thinking, one day you will become a mental case. Sorry to say that, but that is exactly what you will become. We call it a basket case. So let us continue. Verse 49. Action with a selfish motive is far inferior to this yoga in the form of equanimity. Do seek refuge in this equipoise of mind, Arjuna. For poor and wretched are those who are the cause in making their actions bear fruit. Oh my God, that's very powerful. Sorry. What is the Lord saying here? He's saying action with a selfish motive. Sorry, give me a moment. Action with a selfish motive is far inferior to this yoga in the form of equanimity. Do seek refuge in this equipoise of mind. Arjuna, for poor and wretched are those who are the cause in making their actions bear fruit. See, if we, I think we've discussed the same thing, but the Lord is continuing on the same point because it's very difficult for our mind to listen when we are in that emotional condition. Our mind is already, shut off. It doesn't want to listen. So what happens is that you are not conducive to receiving that knowledge. So the Lord has to say the same thing in different ways possible to Arjuna. Action with a selfish motive is far inferior. So when I gave examples about I want to get 99 or 100 in my maths. Why? Because I want to get an entrance to MIT, IIT, which means it's a motivated, with the motivation. So there is an action you're performing with the motivation of achieving something. So what does that mean? You're selfish. You're doing it for your own selfish purpose, and that is an inferior action. It's a very low line. Okay, there is no value for you in your life because you're like any other crass human being in this world. When you are always motivated with your action, with a selfish motivation, it's always an inferior action. You should know that. To this yoga in the form of equanimity. So you're never going to have the yoga of the equanimity at all. Why? Because either you're always with a motivation, right? The end result. Either you're saying, this is the end result. It's a success, failure, or something. Okay, you want to achieve something out of that particular action. So your actions are motivated with a selfish cause. But when you are not bothered about the end result, your action is not motivated by the end result, then it is a superior action, because then you're in the yoga, in the form of equanimity. Whereas in the otherwise, you've already lost that state, right? You're not in the state of equanimity. That oneness is not there at all. Then what is happening? Instead of having that oneness, you're already gone away from that oneness. So which means you know that I have to achieve. Example, I'm a startup. I'm going to an investor with an intention to saying, I have to get my investment. The VC, the venture capitalist will say, okay, I have to invest. So you go to the venture capitalist and then you're putting your presentation, you have a figure in mind. So your motivation is to get that $1 million or $1 billion for your company. That is your motivated action. But if you're not bothered about that and you're only doing, in the state of equanimity, without that end result, that focus, that I need to get this, I have to get this, I have to make this happen. Without that, okay, I want to give the best pitch possible. Whether I get the money or not get the money, I'm not bothered. And if you don't have that motivation that I have to get that money and you're using all your capability and power to get that, then you're lost. But if you go only with an intention that I have to give the best pitch of my life and not bother whether you're going to get or not, then you are in that state of yoga. Then it doesn't disturb you. If you get that $1 million, well and good. If you don't get, it's okay. You have to put more efforts. That is what it is, simple, right? Like my Guruji says, if you throw 1,000 stones, at least one will reflect, right? You will hit that zone, right? At least one will reflect back, right? But if you don't throw the stones and you're thinking, oh, I put 10 stones, now I need everything. I need to hit that mark. No, it's not going to happen. Why are you bothered? That is what it means. Keep trying. My Guruji sent a very beautiful article. And in that it said, this lady who founded a company called Canva, she had done 180 pitches, which was all a failure. She had to pitch 180 times, which means she failed 180 times before she could win once. So does it mean that she gave up? No, she continued to do better and better and better and better. And that is what is required. And not getting frustrated and saying, okay, I give up. What happens to us? If we are motivated with the end result, then you give up. But those who are not motivated continue to try their best every single time. And that is why they are in that state of yoga. That is called equanimity of mind. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that person was in that state or not, but this is what you will be able to achieve as taught by Lord Shri Krishna here. So do seek refuge in this equipoise of mind. What is he saying? Do seek refuge. You have to first seek refuge. Refuge is you have to surrender to this state to attain this equipoise of mind, because it's the most important thing that you have to first achieve. To being spiritual, if you don't learn this lesson, you cannot move ahead. Please know this very well. To do something fantastic in this world, to become a great leader, to set yourself as an example, to lead the people, you have to first get this. My Guruji constantly keeps teaching me this lesson over and over again, simply because no matter what happens, he says you need to have all the patience in the world. People can call names, people can say all sorts of wrong things, they can slander, they can do everything, but you don't have the right to react. You don't have the right to say anything to them. Because to be that divine being, you can't do that. But acceptance of that within the mind has to happen. You have to get to that, that is why he says taking refuge. Which means you have to first refuge, surrender to that knowledge, surrender to that understanding so that you can, attain that equipoise of state. But if you don't surrender and you don't accept, then my Guruji says there's no difference between you and those people, because they anyways were behaving uncool. Then what is the difference between you and them? You are also behaving exactly like them. This is what he'll teach. He said, I've never taught anybody to behave badly, but if you choose, that's your problem. So to being divine and to doing that, to doing that purpose, you have to first be a very good tool in the hands of the Lord of the Shri Krishna. Like Arjuna, he's saying, he's the charioteer, right? Lord Shri Krishna is the charioteer of Arjuna. And this Arjuna, you and me, we need to we have to take refuge in this divine, that state That yoga is oneness with God, please remember. And that is where Lord Sri Krishna is. He is beyond the three gunas, the body, the mind, the senses. He is in that perfect state of equanimity. That is called the blissful state, the yoga with the Divine Lord. Only in that centeredness, that state of that centeredness is where you can attain. See, these are very powerful lessons. It's not such an easy thing. It's not such an easy feat. If this is not for you, you should never even bother listening to this. Please remember. But at least you sincerely want to make an effort. Start practicing little. Someday in life you will achieve it with the grace of the Divine Lord. But it all depends on the effort that you put in. It's all your effort. So the reason why the Guru continues to teach the same thing over and over again is someday you will take refuge in this equipoise of mind. And you will become silent. You will become calm. Nothing will disturb you. What happens in the external world will not affect you. Even if you hear something, even if you see something, it is not going to matter to you. But until such time, you have to keep practicing till the time you attain that. Arjuna, for poor and wretched are those who are the cause in making their actions bear fruit. That's a sad thing. He says, Arjuna, for the poor and the wretched, he's calling these people poor and wretched, are those who are the cause. Who are the cause means they become the cause in making their actions bear fruit. So they are actually performing in actions, and that action is actually going to bear fruit. The end result is going to come out of their action. So those people are, what is Lord calling them? They are poor and wretched. So we are not here to do that. We are just here to surrender to the will of the Divine Lord. And we are only here to do our work, the duty. That is what he says, Karma Yoga, as described by Lord Sri Krishna. Did you even understand ever this? We all think, oh yes, my right to work because I have to take care of my family. I need to make so much money. I have to take care of my husband, my wife, my children, my father, mother, relatives, brother, sister. You name it. It is endless. But when you get into this entanglement and you're going to get drowned in that and there is no getting out of it, please remember, this is a very tough lesson. It's a truth that very difficult to understand. It's not an easy thing. So to getting out of that, there's only one way. It is taking refuge in this equipoise of mind. And when you take that refuge, then you will be able to overcome. You are not going to make your actions bear that fruit. And then you will surrender to the will of the Divine Lord. And whatever has to be the fruit of that action, the end result, the Lord decides and He bestows upon you. And when you graciously accept, there will be no karma accruing to you. You must know this. And then you incur no sins. Then you are performing selfless action. And that is the path of Karma Yoga. So with that, we will stop here and continue tomorrow. Thank you once again for joining Shri Bhagavad Gita Satsang. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunathanataya Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.